everybody, welcome to my 48-hour Bookoplathon vlog. So just real quick, because the readathon will have passed by the time you see this, but the 48-hour Bookoplathon is my readathon based on my TBR game Bookopoly. I'll pop the announcement video up here if you do want to check it out. I may do one of these again, depends how this run goes. But yeah, all of the details will be there. The main thing about this one is that it is completely live. It's going to be happening completely live on YouTube through YouTube reading sprints. And another big thing about the Bookoplathon is that you don't get the prompts at the beginning of the readathon. You only get 2, and the rest of them are released like every 12 hours throughout the 2 days. So it is 11:20. I've just got off the phone with Safina, who is going to be joining me for the first set of sprints that start in 40 minutes. And I've had a cup of coffee because I've had a nap for around, I think, an hour and a half. I managed to sleep for not very long, but I'm planning to go hard for this. I don't think it's gonna work, guys. I don't think it's gonna work, but the whole thing of this being completely live, having so many co-hosts, like, I'm just super paranoid and super anxious that something is gonna go wrong. Fingers crossed it won't, and I'm feeling kind of optimistic about it, but I'm just a little bit on edge that something is gonna go wrong. So I don't want to sleep. Like, I don't feel like I can be relaxed enough to sleep for like a full 8 hours. So my current plan is that because there are 2 prompts every 12 hours, I am planning on reading a graphic novel or manga and a normal book for each set of the roles, and fingers crossed complete all 8 of them. If I manage to do that, that will be wild because I'm not a fast reader to start off with, but hopefully I will complete the 2 books in a 12-hour period and have a few hours left where I'm going to go and sleep up until the next 12 o'clock and get up and do the same thing again. And essentially I'm gonna sleep for like a couple of hours every 12 hours as opposed to getting like a decent solid chunk of sleep. So I'm gonna be a zombie by the end of this, and I do not work well when I'm sleepy. I'm a nightmare to be around, honestly, so I apologize in advance. But I need to go set up and get ready for the first set of sprints. A little bit nervous, can't lie. And I also need to tell you guys what I'm gonna be reading. So from the first roll drop, the first prompt is to read a fantasy, and for that one I'm going to be going with a comic, and that is going to be Rat Queen's Volume 4 High Fantasies by Curtis J. Weeb. This is an adult fantasy comic book series that follows 4 boozy battle maidens for hire that have been thrown into jail for starting one bar fight too many, and they are offered their freedom providing they complete some quests for the realm. So the plot is like quite far away from that where I'm up to in Volume 4, but that is the basics. Really love the characters and the story in here, but the art does change throughout, and like some art styles I prefer more than others. But this is going to be my very first read because I can get like a good head start by knocking out like 100 and something page comic book. This one's also on my Bookopoly TBR because I landed on read a comic, and I've saved it for this because it's perfect and the only book really that's on my normal Bookopoly TBR that I'm confident I can read in a 48-hour period. Part of the Bookoplathon is that because it's so short, you can pull in books that you're currently reading, and pretty much there's no rules, just do whatever you can to survive the 2 days. So the second prompt, wow, this is a bit dusty. But the second prompt is to read a book with a dark cover. So I've already fucked up because I'm also reading Den of Vipers by, is it K.A. Knight? And I was supposed to finish that today because I'm doing like a whole separate vlog on it, and I haven't finished that, and I don't think I'm going to be reading it for this readathon. I have like 100 pages left, but I really don't want to be working with 2 vlogs at once, especially because this one's going to be like quite intense for a 48-hour readathon. So earlier on in the week I started Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this has a great full cast audiobook, and I really struggle with audiobooks. I need something like a full cast element to actually keep me interested. So I started this one earlier in the week while I was diamond painting, and I was like, cool, I'll listen to 30 minutes to an hour every night leading up to Bookoplathon, and then I'll only have like 2-3 hours left of it to listen to. I listened to this, I think I've listened to an hour and a half of the audiobook on single speed, so I could speed it up, but I didn't want to rush it. I was trying to take my time to make it last till the weekend. So I can bump it up a little bit, maybe to around 1.5. We'll see how I go when I'm actually listening to it, but it's not like a super slow audiobook, and it reads kind of like a biography or something, so it is really nice to just listen to it on single speed, and it's kind of like a podcast or something like that. But yeah, I've got about 7 hours left of this, so I shot myself in the foot there. But this one is like a historical fiction contemporary style. It is pretty much like a fake biography. Taylor Jenkins Reid is like really good with those, and this one is about a rock and roll band called Daisy Jones and the Six. It starts off in the late 60s, I think. Yeah, it starts in 1965 and I believe it comes all the way up to present day, and it is about the members of this band Daisy Jones and the Six, like how they started. They started off as the Six, how Daisy became part of them, and how they broke up. And it's like the first time that they've ever spoken about these topics. It's like a fake biography. It's real interesting, but at the moment it feels like maybe a 3-star read for me, because I do really appreciate the audiobook and I love The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. But if we compare this to The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is about like the golden age of Hollywood, and this is about music in the 60s and 70s, and this generally, like music in the 60s and 70s, is not really a topic that I'm interested in at all. So it's kind of like really good for what it is, and I'm enjoying it for what it is, really enjoying the audiobook, but I'm just not that interested in the topic. So these are my first 2 books. Feeling real optimistic at the minute, real energetic. I've had my morning coffee, I've had my nap, and it's all downhill from here. So I'm gonna go start the StreamYard and set up for the first round of sprints, and I will check in with you guys a little bit later on. We're currently at 974 people watching, and that has actually gone down because we were at 1,000 a second ago. But oh my god, thank you so much to everybody who has joined, because like 1,000 people is a hell of a lot, and I'm hella orange right now because I haven't changed my camera settings. But yeah, oh my god, I'm just so overwhelmed right now. I should be reading. I'm gonna go read because now I haven't even turned my camera off. I'm just vlogging in a sprint. But yeah, thanks, because I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that at all. And we also have some highs from you guys for you guys when you watch the vlog later as well.
Tell me that it's my fault that it's over. Wish I played it different, I didn't know.
Good evening, good morning, whatever it is right now. It's like, are my eyes going red? Oh no, yeah. No, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I'm starting to flag. It's only 2 AM and I did have that 1 hour sleep as well, so it really shouldn't be like this. But I have just finished Rat Queens Volume 4. I gave it 4 stars. I did really enjoy this one. I should have read the end of the last volume though before I started this, because I wasn't not necessarily confused. I just was a little bit fuzzy on the details of where the last one ended. But I love how funny this is, and I love the characters. The Rat Queens are expanding in this one as well. When I read the 4th one at some point last year, it could have even been like the last 48-hour Bookoplathon. I did say that there was like a little short story that was the backstory of a character who had been in the comics but as a side character, and there was like a little short story at the end that was that character's backstory, and it was because they're more present in this volume. They're actually on the cover, it's that one, and she is a new trans main character, which is really exciting. This series is like super diverse and super queer as well to start off with, but I really enjoyed seeing that trans character come to the forefront of the story and be included more in this one. And yeah, just the humor and how like ridiculous it can be in parts while still providing like a really cool high fantasy questing kind of story. So I really like that one. This was also a gift from Ash as well, so thank you so much, Ash, for gifting this one to me. So there's 12 minutes of the sprints left now, so I might rearrange myself and set up to do some diamond painting while I listen to the audiobook of Daisy Jones and the Six. So let's have a look how much of this audio I have, because it's gonna be a lot. 7 hours and 11 minutes. 7 hours and 11 minutes. That takes me to 10 AM if I listen continuously on single speed, which I'm not going to be listening continuously because we have the chat breaks in between the sprints. I'm feeling optimistic. If I can get this done by about 9 AM, that would kind of be the goal, but I will keep you guys posted and we'll see how we go with that. But yeah, I'm gonna set up my diamond painting and just chill for the next 10 minutes of this sprint, and then when we get into the next one I will crack on with this audio. Hopefully, I don't know, because with how I'm feeling right now with the tiredness, I don't know whether the diamond painting is going to make it worse. I kind of make the time pass kind of not necessarily quicker, but in a way that keeps me focused, so we'll see.
Call me to be closer, wish I paid attention, I should have known. You're probably with your friends, dancing on tabletops. Hands in his hair already, saying that you forgot.
I I just do it from the bottle, but then you can't, like, I want you guys to know that I did a shot, like, actually. I've got fat fingers, this is gonna be awful. That's a lot. Fuck. I'm gonna regret this. Oh my god. It's 25 past 4. I'm on page 118 of Daisy Jones. My audio now has like 4 hours and 20 minutes left, I believe. So we're looking at like 9 AM before I'm getting any sleep. And then it's only gonna be a couple of hours. So good times all round, but that double shot I poured way too heavily. Like, I'm not drunk, but I have that tipsy kind of feeling that you get during pre-drinks when you first start to get drunk. So I'm gonna listen to my audio, I'm gonna do my diamond painting, and I'm gonna hope it passes. I just kind of want to show you guys actually where I'm up to with this, so I can compare it to where I end up at when this audiobook is finished, because I've now just bumped it up to 1.6 speed and I have 3.5 hours left, which sounds much more doable. But I started earlier, like I was in this section somewhere and his ears weren't done, and now I'm like moving my way down. So we'll see how much I get done. So it's 6 AM. No, it's not. It's really not. It is 8:30 AM. And I'm currently sprinting on Steph's channel, but I'm nearly there with this, guys. How much does my audiobook say I have left? It's only about an hour, I think. An hour and 15 minutes. And I'm around the page like 250-ish mark. I have listened to a little bit since the last time I put my bookmark in. I still, no, please, sir, don't do this. No, 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 no. Why are you such a problem child? You could be so wonderful. You could be. No, please get down. I still feel the same way that I kind of did about it earlier. Like, I'm really enjoying the experience of listening to it. I enjoy the voice acting, I like the characters, but I just don't really care about the 1960s, 1970s music scene. So we'll see how that reflects in my rating. And the next time I come back, I will be like, you know what I think? Also, look at this makeup. Like, wow. When I finish this book, Steph sprints are still going to be going on, so I think I'm going to use the sprinting time to take my makeup off and shower. Look, he can be cute. No, you can't you? I just don't Hey, so I look very different than the last time you saw me. I just finished Daisy Jones on the 6th, and there's 10 minutes left of this current sprint, and then in the next one, which will be the last one of Steph's set, I'm gonna go and get a shower. So I just thought I'd just take my makeup off now, give myself a head start for that shower, because it's gonna have to be a speedy one. But I want to spend a decent amount of time in there and just kind of like freshen up a little bit, even though I plan on going to sleep in like 2 hours, maybe. So Daisy Jones, I put it through Corpile, which is the rating system that was created by Gia Bookroast, because somebody always asks when I mention it. I'll put a link to her video in the description box, but you just like rate the book based on its individual components. And I put it through there and it came out at 4 stars. Now, personal feeling on it, enjoyment, I would say it's 3 stars, and I did think it was going to come out at 3 stars, but when I was rating it, like the things that are rated on there, we have like characters definitely the best part of this. Atmosphere, the atmosphere in the audiobook is top tier, cannot deny, so they were really highly rated. I think that the writing was decent in it, can't fault the writing. Plot, not bothered about it. Surprised me what the plot turned out to be, but like the plot isn't what stands out in here. And then the intrigue, I enjoyed it because it was nice to listen to as an audiobook, so I am really rating the audiobook here and how that was produced, combined with the story, of course. And then logic was fine, enjoyment fine. Like, there's an element of this that I wasn't expecting. When you go into this and you're following Daisy and we're talking about the members of the 6, I thought there was a very clear setup here with 2 dynamic lead characters, and it actually turned into something completely different than I expected. And that kind of vibe is something that I really love. Don't want to spoil it for you because it is kind of like a slice of life but with a rock and roll band, and like it's all very Fleetwood Mac and ABBA mushed together. So with ABBA we had the dynamics of everyone being married to each other, and then in Fleetwood Mac we had them as an established band before like Stevie Nicks and I think Lindsey Buckingham as well joined a little bit later on. So it's kind of like an amalgamation of those 2 bands. There was probably more. Those are the only ones that I'm familiar with, and my information, what I know about them, is very spotty to start off with. But it's that kind of story, you know, like what happened to this band? They just broke up not randomly, randomly but suddenly, and nobody knows why. And this is the first time that they're talking about what actually happened, and it was a lot of different reasons for the different members of the band. But I'm just not like, I like listening to music, I constantly listen to music, but I'm not like a music buff. I did music in school, like I played an instrument for a while, but it's not something I was ever good at or something that I could really wrap my head around. It's not something that I'm incredibly passionate about. And in terms of eras for music, 60s and 70s is just like my least favorite music. I'm an 80s girl when it comes to listening to older music. So in terms of like what it was actually about with the vibe and stuff, it just really wasn't for me, which is why it feels like a 3 stars. But I do think that there is a pretty good quality book. If you like your contemporary stories, it has contemporary themes like Evelyn Hugo did, and the audiobook is fantastic. Would recommend listening to that. It's full cast, and I love me a full cast audiobook. They're pretty much, with a couple of exceptions, they're the only audiobooks that I listen to. So that is both prompts done. Daisy Jones for Dark Cover, Rat Queens Volume 4 for Fantasy, and I have an hour and 15 minutes until the next roll drop. So my original plan, as you guys know, was to read both books and then sleep until the next roll drop. I'm not sleeping for an hour and 15 minutes. My new plan is that I'm going to go for a shower in this next sprint. I'm going to join Ashley sprints until the roll drop's done, do my roll drop stuff, which is on Twitter and Discord. Then I'm going to probably get in bed. Curtis isn't up yet, actually. I thought he would be, and I'm glad that I'm not sleeping till 12 because he may not be up before 12 to wake me up. But I'm gonna get in bed, take my laptop, watch Ashley sprints, and read my first book, because as I mentioned earlier, I'm doing like a manga slash comic with a full-size book. So I'm going to read my manga book for this drop and then sleep until about 6 o'clock, get up, make dinner, jump back in with my full-length book and see how we go. I'm feeling real optimistic now, but I'm thinking like it's took me 11 hours to read 2 books, one of which was a comic, and there's still 37 hours of the readathon left, but I haven't slept yet. So while I'm feeling optimistic, while I've done the 2 books within the drop time, I haven't slept, and I'm gonna need to do that at some point. Hey, it's me again. It's only been like 30 seconds, but I just wanted to let you know that there are massive trigger warnings in Daisy Jones for substance abuse and addiction, the whole like crazy rock and roll lifestyle kind of thing, like all the drugs all the time. So do be wary of that if you're going into it. Just remember that I said I would show you guys my progress on this by the end of my audiobook. So I was around here when I started at like 3 in the morning, and now I've completed all up to here and then started to come down on these little bits as well. So quite a lot of Baby Yoda got done tonight. So it is 11:40 now. We have 20 minutes until the next roll drop, but I'm actually going to be hopping live shows, so I'm going to be going straight from Steph Sprints straight into Ashley's, and I obviously know what all of the prompts are, so I'm going to be letting you guys know what I'm going to be picking up next. Now I am aiming, hopefully fingers crossed, for 8 books during this readathon, but from here we're going a little bit more like, what's the word, like spontaneous with it. Essentially, I may not have time to read the books that I think I might want to read for the rest of the readathon, so I'm just going to be picking them one by one from now on. So the 2 prompts for this roll drop are contemporary and POC rep. So I'm starting with contemporary. However, if I do run out of time, because I am going to be sleeping during this 12-hour period, this one will double up for both of them if I need it to, and that is This Is Not the Right Book. This is not the right book. So I'm going to be going with my shorter pick first, and I'll be reading Dreaming Sun Volume 3 by Ichigo Takano. So this is a manga. It's written by a Japanese author with Japanese characters. It's been translated into English, so it does count for POC rep as well, but it is a contemporary because this is a young adult shoujo manga series that follows a girl who has run away from home because her father has remarried. They have a new baby and she's feeling like real pushed out. So I'm just gonna put you here because I'm tired. So she runs away and she finds this guy passed out in the park, and he offers her a place to live on 3 conditions. The first condition is that she tells him why she ran away. The second is that she finds his missing house key, and the third is that she has a dream and falls in love. And this is just like a really cute, funny, contemporary, easy read. I really love this series. I think I've given the first 2 volumes 4 stars, but yeah, it just makes me happy to read it. So this is going to be my first pick. I've sorted out all of the roll drops, so I just need to press tweet after Ashley has unveiled them. Then I'm gonna go and get into bed and read this one before I fall asleep, so I'll let you guys know what I think. So I feel like it's really starting to show, if it hasn't already, that I'm tired as fuck. But it is 2:20 p.m. on Saturday still, and I have finished Dreaming Sun by Ichigo Takano. I give this 4 stars, and it's come to my attention that I have given every book that I've read this month 4 stars, and I've read I'm struggling. And I've read 3 books during this readathon, and I've only read 2 books this month outside of this readathon. I don't know what's happened to me this month, but yeah, really loved this. It was cute, it was funny, it had me laughing out loud at moments, even though it is utterly ridiculous in some aspects, and I kind of just want to shake the main character. I don't know, it's just like feel good vibes, you know. There's some problematic elements in this series, but overall it's just like a fun time, kind of lighthearted, kind of silly, and just puts a massive smile on my face. So yeah, 4 stars to this, and this is the contemporary prompt down, and that brings my total pages up to 600 for the readathon so far, and we're only 14 hours in, so I am going to sleep now for around 4 hours. I want to be awake for about 6:30 p.m. And I have to be awake because I will be making pizza to eat. Of course, what else would I make pizza for? And after that, I will be picking my book for the POC rep prompt and sharing it with you guys. But until then, I'm gonna peace the fuck out. Good morning or good afternoon. I'm not sure what time it is. It's 5:30 in the afternoon. So I guess that means I had 3 hours sleep. We'll see how long this energy lasts me. I'm gonna go make some food, and then we'll get this show back on the road.
I'm not used to feeling like I'm needed. Guess I'm not so missed it. I should have.
Okay, so I appreciate that I still look like shit, but I feel a lot better because I've had a coffee now. It is almost 8 p.m. It is 7:50, so we're in the last 10 minutes of Mel sprints, which have just been like a whole lot of fun, just a hilarious time all around of the like 2 hours that I caught. And I have started This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Mota and Max Gladstone. Now, this is one that I never thought that I would pick up because from what it looks like, it didn't look like something I was interested in. To me, I feel like it looks like a contemporary or literary fiction book, like looking at it, but it is a sci-fi that is co-authored. It is kind of like the authors that have written it are both like award winners. They're pretty well regarded SFF authors, and this is a sci-fi story. Very confusing where I'm up to so far. I'm 38 pages into it, but I am loving it, which is weird, but it is confusing. And it is about 2 agents called Red and Blue, and they work for opposite factions in a time war, and the writing is very beautiful, very flowery. I'm loving it. I think from what I've gathered, I've just made notes in my phone, I think the time is in threads or strands in here, and they work with the strands to shape the future. Now, I don't actually know what both of their end goals are at the minute, but I think that Blue is in like a more past time zone, like a historical time zone, and Red is in the future, and these 2 are working the strands through different time periods, past and future, to sabotage each other and passing like sassy notes to each other in various different ways as they go, because they're trying to sabotage each other because Red wants her faction to win and Blue wants her faction to win. And I think during the process of this, they fall in love. I'm like so thoroughly confused. There was a chapter that I read where one of them, I can't remember which one it was, but they were somewhere talking to Siri, and Siri was asking them questions and they were responding with passages from the Jabberwocky. But I already feel like 38 pages into this that this is going to be a book that makes a whole lot of sense upon reread and not all that much sense the first time you go through it. This is one that you maybe would not expect me to like. One, because it's short. The writing style, I do really love flowery writing, but it does have a big sense of ambiguity around it. You guys know I don't do well with that. And with it working through time and the different time periods, how they relate to each other, how they're sabotaging each other throughout time while so far apart and passing these messages, I think it's going to be genius. I'm only 38 pages into it, as I keep saying, but I'm really excited to see how this unfolds. The prompt I'm using this for is the POC rep prompt. I don't know if any of the characters are of color in here, but the author is an author of color, so I would say it definitely fits the prompt. And yeah, I'm thrilled. I'm hooked. I didn't expect to be this hooked 38 pages into a very short book, but the writing style has me utterly captivated. All I want from life is to be this comfortable. That shouldn't be too hard. This should be everyone's default setting. My favorites are Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter, No Exit by Taylor Adams, and the newest book to this, A Good Goes Back to Murder by Holly Kaplan.
I knew all those. I could have answered them.
I'll give you loving too. You'll end up leaving here with someone. I just don't wanna know you. Be drinking way past 2. Lights out and it's not me you're loving. I just don't wanna know you with someone. I just don't wanna know you give your loving to. You'll end up leaving here with someone. I just don't wanna know you. Be drinking way past 2. Lights out and it's not me you're loving. I just don't wanna know you here with someone. I just don't wanna know.
So we're almost at 11:20 p.m. and I need to sort out the roll drops for midnight, but I only have 45 pages of this book left and I am desperate to get it done before midnight. So I have already set up like my slumber party set up for Gav's sprints. I mean, it's weak as fuck, but we have my Coat of Mist and Fury blanket, which if you guys have been around a while you will have seen this, and just like a lot of pillows. I've also lit like one candle. I'm gonna put my stuff on here. So yeah, currently watching the last hour of Deja's sprints. They are about to go, I think, for a 30-minute sprint, which should be what I need to finish this book. Then I'm gonna hightail it in there, switch over to Gav's sprints, sort out all of the prompts. So it's likely that I won't be able to fill you in on This Is How We Lose the Time War as soon as I finished, but when all that craziness is done, I will get back to you and we can also pick my book for whichever prompt I'm going with next, which I'm not actually sure. Depends how I feel in like an hour. Look at those views for my babies, Gav and Lexi. We love to see it.
Okay, are you guys ready for the first roll drop?
Bookoplathon board roll number 3 is an 8. And that is the first book in a series. Hey, so we are past midnight now. Day 1 of Bookoplathon is over and I finished This Is How We Lose the Time War and I gave it 5 stars because I fucking loved it. So the best thing about this for me was the writing. I do really like flurry writing. There's some types that I don't like I don't really like Erin Morgenstern, but I love this. It was just so beautifully written and it is this very pure sapphic romance on this twisty time travel backdrop with a really cool plot. It's like, I don't, who am I? Because this book is like 198 pages, not even 200 pages, and I would say that this is one of my favorite books of the year. Surprised that I love this so much. Look at the indents in my nose from my glasses and my skin is disgusting. Like, I need to sleep. I'm also like, I feel quite awake right now, but I feel weird in my body. So I'm gonna grab a snack in a minute, but we need to pick one of my books. If you guys actually followed along with the readathon, I can't remember what sprints it was now. Maybe Steph's sprints that were like 8 until midday this like Saturday morning. I said that there was a prompt coming up that I didn't want to fill. It has now come up and that is to read the first book in a series. So let me put the big light on. I definitely want to read my chance card and that was the one that I was going to lead with for this section of time, which I still might, but that is Confessed by Colleen Hoover. This was a gift from Ashley like ages ago. She just randomly sent it to me. Thank you so much, Ashley, because she knows I love my coho. But this one is an adult romance, I want to say. I tend to just go into Colleen Hoover books blind because I love how angsty and dramatic they are, but this one is about a girl who finds an artist, I think, and she takes a chance and puts her heart in control only to discover that Owen is keeping a major secret from coming out. So really excited for this. Love me some coho, and I always read Colleen Hoover really quick. So when that came up as one of my chance cards, because I always just use my chance cards from my normal board, like I don't make special ones or anything, I get really excited when something like that comes up. I know when we did the last 48-hour Bookoplathon, it was a big book. It was Leviathan Marathon Wakes by James S.A. Corey, and I was like, absolutely not. That's going to be my core book. There's nothing I can do about it, which means my first book in a series has to be a graphic novel or a manga, and I do have loads of starts of series, but I'm like 3 out of 10 volumes into Dreaming Sun. I'm currently, I think, 6 out of at least 10 volumes into Children of the Whales. I'm 1 volume into the canonical continuation of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel. I'm 1 volume into Isola. What else am I like currently reading graphic novel wise? I'm now 4 volumes into Rat Queens as well. I do have tons of first books in series, but like there's so many that I've already started. I really don't want to start a new one, but I'm going to have to. I don't think I'm going to go for a manga because the manga that I have, the series that I have, tend to be quite long ones. And the annoying thing is I could read manga really quickly. Like I could work it so I read like a manga or a comic every week and just like slowly make my way through, but I never do that. So I think we're going to be straying away from manga, and I might dip back into manga for the next roll drop for whatever. I don't even know what I'm doing for that. I'm just so fucking tired. So graphic novels, we have the new Buffy the Vampire Slayer ones, like the modernized ones. We have Die Fantasy Heartbreaker, Blackbird, and Monstrous. And I think I'm actually gonna go for the new Buffy the Vampire Slayer because I've been desperate to read this for the longest time. So you guys know Buffy, right? One girl from every generation destined to rid the world of vampires and the forces of evil. Good old Sarah Michelle Gellar. This is one that I stumbled upon in a comic book store last year and just got really excited about it because I'd seen it before and just thought it was the old comics because there are so many Buffy comics and so many different types of them. And then I found out that this is like a modernized version and the art is absolutely stunning. So it is the story of Buffy but told in like 2018 or something. So I think we're gonna go with this one. I don't know how long is left of Gab's first sprint now, like 20 minutes, but I've just got out of like reading intensely to try and finish This Is How We Lose the Time War for however long that was, and then watch the beginning of his Done the Roll Drop. So I want a little bit of a break. So I don't actually think I'm gonna read for this sprint. I'm gonna have a wander around the house, refresh myself a little bit, get some food, snack. I don't want any more coffee, but I think we've got innocent like green juice in the fridge. Like, let's be healthy at 1 in the morning. Get myself settled, and then I'm gonna start in the next sprint, and I think I'm gonna knock this one out and then spend the rest of however long. I don't even know when I'm sleeping. Like, I need to get at least another 4 hours of sleep in before the end of this readathon, and at this current moment I have no idea like where I'm scheduling that 4 hours in. Sorry for the low lighting situation at the minute, guys. I can't have the light on anymore because it's just killing me, but I'm about to get settled, lie back, carry on watching Gav sprints because the first one's nearly over, and I have my books. Also, don't know who I am anymore because I've stopped drinking Pepsi and I've started drinking water. I still have half a glass of Pepsi behind me, but I just need to be like cool because normally when I'm sleep deprived I start shivering and I'm really cold, but all through this readathon I've been really hot, so I'm just drinking cold water. And earlier I asked Curtis to get me a fruit box from the supermarket. You know, like the ones that you get, they're in a tub like this big, and I wanted like a melon medley, so I asked him to get me one of those so I didn't have to prepare it because busy readathon stuff, and he said okay. He brought it back, put it in the fridge, and I can't lie, I've been pretty out of it today, so I didn't look what he bought, but I've just gone and had a little bit of the green juice to boost my energy levels and got my fruit pot out of the fridge, and he's got me this food platter, which I'll show you. I feel like a child. I feel like a toddler in nursery, and I mean, I'm not mad about it, but I didn't know these things existed, and I'm just living my 2-year-old snack time life.
How could you even tell
my cat left. You scared my cat.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Gavin's slumber party with Lexi is legitimately ridiculous and chaotic on so many levels, but I'm so glad that I've managed to stay awake for this. I'm about to show you guys the highlight of the 48-hour live Bookoplathon 2021. You've probably already seen it, but I just can't stop choking every time I watch it back.
Because, well, I know, but like Jack Dawson is Bae forever. He is the love of my life, so I would love him to sing to Rose. I think he couldn't fit on the door though, and I'm still really pissed.
Same, Lexi. Same. So we're now at 3 AM and it took me a little bit longer than it usually would to read the Buffy reboot because of all the chaos happening in this stream. But I haven't cop-out this yet or anything because I'm conscious of the fact that the sprint is ending in around 10 minutes. But I am obsessed with this. Oh my god, it's definitely going to be 5 stars, I would say. I love the art style in here and I love what they've done with the modernization. The characters are like all modernized in that they dress in a more modern way, they speak in a slightly more modern way, but the writers of this have still managed to capture the voices of the characters. Like I can hear all of the dialogue in here in the voices of the actors that originally played them in the 90s TV show, and I just loved it so much. There's queer rep in here because Willow is a lesbian from the start. There's mental health rep in here, and at the time that Buffy was aired, it did a lot for television. Like it portrayed one of the first openly gay, especially female relationship on television, and especially one with like main characters, and it did a lot for things like television for teenagers, because the whole point of Buffy is that the vampires and the monsters and everything that they slay is actually a metaphor for the things that you have to deal with when you're growing up, and then that matures as the characters get older throughout the show. But it is a lot of humor as well. It's very funny and there's jokes at the expense of certain characters, and this has already, even in comic book form, given some of the characters a lot of depth. So like a lot of these characters are the same characters, but like Xander is struggling with mental health, which realistically, based on his character in the TV show, he would be, but it's not something that's ever mentioned. Like Willow is queer from the beginning. It's also introduced a lot of the core characters from throughout all 7 seasons of Buffy in this first volume. So Spike and Drew are in here, even though they only turn up in season 2 of the show. Anya's in here, even though she only turns up in, I think, season 3, but she only becomes a main character in 4 or 5. Angel isn't in here yet. He's in like the corner of one frame, so that's really exciting because he turns up, I think it's like episode 5 of the first season of the TV show. I think Jenny Calendar is in here, although I'm not too sure, and Robin Wood is in here, who is only in season 7 of the show, but he's as like a teenage main character, which I found really cool as well. So yeah, so obsessed with this. The art style, I'm just going to show you guys a glimpse of the art style as well, because I love it, and I love how recognizable the characters are. Like this is Spike, and there were some stunning like frames of Cordelia. Cordelia is and has always been one of my favorite characters from Buffy, and I just think that she's the most beautiful character, person, actress in general. Like here we have Cordelia, and one of the shots in particular of Buffy, Xander and Willow early on I really like, or frames I guess, not shots, which was this one. You can't really see Xander. I will say with the art style in here, Xander's come out the worst. Like he looks the least like Nicholas Brendon, but it's still a really good likeness. I do know with the reboot, I think they're up to volume 3 or 4 of the Buffy one now. There is also, I think there's an Angel crossover called Welcome to the Hellmouth, which actually might be volume 3. There's also going to be, or is, a Willow spin-off. So I have a lot of catching up to do. I need to figure out what order I want to read these in, because I love it so much. They've also tied it in with things that happen in Angel. So like one of the big things, the big themes in Angel is a law firm called Wolfram and Hart, and that is mentioned in here, even though it never had anything to do with Buffy and was created solely for Angel and then woven into Buffy a little bit afterwards. So this one is first in a series down, and I'm going to be starting Confess in the next sprint. I'm not sure how far I'm gonna get. Still haven't decided when I'm gonna sleep, but the entertainment in these sprints is actually perking me up in between every sprint, which is great. So yeah, it's time for more reading.
It's just circles in my head. I've been running after something I know money couldn't help. Always starving for my purpose, maybe I ain't found it yet.
Gonna make this real quick because I'm trying to make the most of the time that I have. But it is 5:22 a.m. and I'm calling it a night for now. I made it to page 71 of Confess. Very intriguing, but I will tell you a little bit more about it tomorrow because, like I said, trying to make the most of the time that I have, and I want to catch the in-between sprint chat of Jade's sprints while I'm getting ready for bed. But yeah, tired as fuck. I'm aiming for, I think, getting bed at 5:30, maybe about 5-6 hours, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that will carry me through to the end of the readathon. because I'm kind of stressed about when I'm sleeping, because I don't want to sleep for too long because I still want to read all the stuff, want to participate, catch everyone's sprints and stuff. But I need to have energy for a 4-hour live show at the end of this thing, and I'm now just suddenly regretting the decisions that placed me at the end, even though that was my decision. Like, I did that. Makes sense because I'm the host, but yeah, that is quickly becoming a reality and I have many regrets. Good morning. Just letting you guys know that I made it. I have a cup of coffee. I'm scheduling the next roll drops, which I will not be participating in yet because I still have to finish my book 6. So now it's looking less and less likely that I'm going to make it for the 8 books, but I'm feeling refreshed. I slept for 5 to 6 hours, I think more like 5, and I did wake up and catch the beginning of Best Sprints actually when she was making pancakes. Watched 5 minutes of that, went back to sleep, and I've just caught the last hour. So yeah, don't know if I'm on track or not, but even though I was half asleep last night, I was reading Confess pretty quickly. So I'm feeling optimistic, and yeah, gotta get these roll drops scheduled, and then I was gonna say that's my last responsibility of the day, but I do actually have to do the final live show.
I love this book. It is my favorite nonfiction ever. It is so good. Please listen to audiobook. Please.
At the center of it all for everyone to see. If I lose all the attention and I own nothing, it's just her and me on a bench in the street with Dolly underneath. That would be enough for me.
We are now at 1:40 p.m. on Sunday, and I am 150 pages into this, so I'm like bang on the halfway point, and I'm really intrigued. It really isn't as I expected. When I started the prologue, I was worried that this was actually going to be young adult, which I mean is fine, but I prefer Colleen Hoover's new adult and adult stuff to her young adult. But this follows a girl called Auburn who's moved to Texas, and there's a lot of mystery surrounding both characters in this one. The love interest is called Owen, and he runs a art studio called Confess, and he has people post confessions into like a little letterbox, and he uses the confessions to inspire a painting. This book is also dual perspective, and from the second chapter, which I think is about 30 pages in, we know that Owen knows Auburn, and she turns up at his door, sees a sign that says help wanted, goes inside, asks about the job because she needs money for a lawyer, and he is looking for somebody to help him sell his paintings. He only opens once a month, sells all these paintings, etc. So she starts to work for him, and this book has only took place, like, there's been a space of time in between, but the actual happenings of the story have only really been across 2 days so far, with like a gap in the middle. So he already knows her, but we don't know why he knows her, and he just doesn't want her to leave. So she does this work day, they go to a bar, we have a gap, and then it goes to this next day that I'm currently reading. So we don't know a whole lot about these characters because we don't know why Auburn wants a lawyer, we don't know why she's moved to Texas, and we don't know how he knows her. He's shady in a lot of ways. He lies to her repeatedly, and even though we're reading from his perspective, like, he's not telling us what the lies are, he just says that he's lying. So I'm mainly intrigued about how he knows her. I have just made a theory about the reasons why that may be, because in the prologue of this, when I thought it was a young adult, it is because it's from the perspective of Auburn, and she is visiting the hospital to see her boyfriend for the last time when she's 15 years old because he is dying of cancer. So definitely trigger warnings for cancer in here. You do have like quite a few problematic elements in there, like the way that they start talking. It's kind of moving quite quickly, but in a way that I'm used to with Colleen Hoover, and the relationship is kind of intense, like the interactions between them, and he is like a little bit pushy in, like, she ends her work day, she's like, I'm gonna go home, and he's like, no, come for a drink with me, and then he's like, no, dance with me, and all of that stuff. But really intrigued, really enjoying it, and I'm interested to see if my theory comes true. Not going to be too mad if it does, because like I'm halfway through the book now, but I do love how just like wild and unrealistic and dramatic Colleen Hoover plot twists are. So it is 5 p.m. and I just finished my 6th book, which was Confess. Realized that I don't actually have a rating for you guys on this yet because I haven't put it through Copilot. It feels like a 4-star though, so if it turns out not a 4-star, I will let you know at some point, saying that I will probably forget, but it does feel like a 4-star. Yeah, crazy, wild, dramatic, really fun, really fast read, super angsty. More trigger warnings in here for sexual assault and like domestic abuse, but I really enjoyed it. It was, I'm saying trigger warnings, but it was a good time. It was what I expect from Colleen Hoover. Like, I go into her books expecting that it's going to be like a romance that's really dramatic and angsty, and it delivered, and I flew through it and I absolutely loved it. So there's 7 hours of the readathon left, and I'm now in this really awkward position. I can't read the book that I wanted to. I really wanted to read The Wicker King by Kay Ancrum. I don't have time to read that. I don't really have anything else. I did pull a couple of short books down, so like I could have read one of the sections of The Many Lives of Stephen Leeds, because I've read the first one but I haven't read the other 2 novellas in here, which would have been 160 pages. Could have read Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, which would have been just under 200 pages. But I realised, real boring stuff now, my bills go out tomorrow and I need to transfer the money to make sure that they get paid. Real boring stuff. Like, I have the money, it's just like I need to put it in the right account, and I know that I will forget if I'm like hurrying to read, and then I'll be too tired to do it later. I also need to go to the shop. Fingers crossed that the shop across the road from me has soda water, because I want to make Aperol spritzes tonight and I don't have any soda water left, and it's Sunday, so everything's now closed. I also need to make dinner, sort my hair and makeup out for my live sprints in 3 hours. I need to take a thumbnail for this vlog because I don't have one of those yet, and I'm pretty sure there's something else. Did I say eat? Because I also need to eat as well. So I'm taking the week option, guys, and I'm going to be listening to the remainder of the audiobook for Good Morning Good Night by Lin-Manuel Miranda. This was a gift from Curtis for our anniversary, and it's real short. They're just like little, are they all 4 lines? No, they're not all 4 lines, but they're just little poems, and you're supposed to read one like in the morning and at night, and they're like inspirational things, like pep talks. The audiobook for the entirety of this is 45 minutes, so this is going to be for the prompt other, which is to read a book that's outside of a genre that you would not normally read. Don't know what you would call this. Would you call this non-fiction? I'm not sure, because it's not telling a story. It's not a fiction book, but it's also not non-fiction. Would it just be poetry? I suppose it would just be poetry, actually, although poetry does have a genre. Like, different poetry is different genres, so I'm confused about that. But I can tell you that I don't normally read inspirational poems, so that definitely counts for that. And then to read a book set in the present, we're gonna loop back with some more manga. I'm gonna read Dream and Sun Volume 4, which you already know what it's about because I read Volume 3 earlier. So yeah, that is my plan for the rest of the readathon, and I'm not even gonna read now. I'm gonna take 3 hours off, get my shit together, get ready for my live show, because yesterday I read Dream and Sun Volume 3 in 2 sprints. And as I said, I only have 35 minutes left of the audiobook for Good Morning Good Night, so we're all sorted. I'm gonna do 8 books. My choices for the last 2 were weak, but I'm still feeling incredibly accomplished. Hey, so I keep forgetting to update you guys. It is now 11 p.m. so we have 1 hour. Whoa, it's 11 p.m. We only have 1 hour of the, I thought we had an extra hour. I'm now real confused. The chat has descended into chaos. We are now discussing, or the chat is discussing in depth while we are sprinting, the difference between an English muffin and a crumpet. So that's what's going on in there. I'm struggling because I'm slightly tipsy and very sleep deprived. At about, I want to say like 9:30, 9:40, I did finish my 7th book, which was Good Morning Good Night by Lin-Manuel Miranda. Sorry for the shaky cam, guys. I'm not responsible for any of my actions now. Whoa, I keep making that sway. Oh lord, I should not be here. I did just eat a crumpet though, so the butter is making my lips shiny, and I do like that effect. I'm gonna hate editing this whenever I get around to it. But I finished Good Morning Good Night by Lin-Manuel Miranda. I've classified it as just poetry. I gave it 5 stars because the audiobook for this is narrated by Lin-Manuel Miranda, and there's just something about Lin-Manuel Miranda telling me nice things about myself and telling me to go get them that I really appreciate. So 5 stars for this, and this one was for other, to read a book that is outside of my usual genre. Still, we haven't established what genre it is, but we're going with poetry, which I pretty much never read. I read the odd book in verse, but normally only for a readathon, because I don't know, I like listening to them. I find it an enjoyable experience, but they're not something that I would, I don't want to say choose to pick up, but it's not like I will want to pick up a novel purely because it's told in verse. I'm going to be checking in with you again very soon, if I remember, because I have this much left of Dream and Sun volume 4. So I'm about, I want to say maybe 70% of the way through, and we have 23 minutes of the sprint left. I think I'm going to be done in about 10 minutes. I'm not going to tell you what this is about again because I read Dreaming Sun volume 3 earlier, but I'm not enjoying this one as much. So I think that this one could be a 3-star. And on that note, I'm going to get back to these sprints, and as well as that, I'm going to pour myself a drink because I want one.
Got me out of a major reading slump, and this felt like such a community event. It was so well done. It was so good. It was great. I felt like I was hanging out with friends all weekend.
I've cried many times during this readathon, and I'm gonna do whatever this is because it's not a shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is the
one?
Okay.
One.
You're not counting the 3, okay?
Oh, I was counting my shots. I have 3 shots. 2. 3.
No, you're not supposed to pull that off of a face. You're going to be smile one. Yeah, there we go. You gotta smile after the shot.
Okay guys, so it is 23:54, 6 minutes till the end of the 48-hour Bookoplathon March 2021, because I don't know if I'm doing another one. I finished Dreaming Sun. I gave it 3 stars as I predicted, and that has me with 8 books finished for a total of 1,627 pages. Now, I was just gonna actually wrap this up later, but I do want to do a run through of my books. First prompts: Daisy Jones and the Six, dark cover. Rat Queens volume 4, fantasy. That's actually called, like the volume's called High Fantasies as well, which is really cool. Then we have Dreaming Sun volume 3 for contemporary. This Is How We Lose the Time War for POC rep. Volume 1 of the Buffy reboot for first book in a series, could not for the life of me remember. Confess by Colleen Hoover was my chance card. Dreaming Sun volume 4 was a book set in the present, and Good Morning, Good Night was my other prompt, so book from a genre that I don't usually read. So let me just actually use this tripod as a tripod, and this is it. This is my stack of books that I have read in 2 days. As you can tell, a lot of them are real short, but I am still really impressed with myself. I have never in my life read this many pages in a day. So currently at the moment we have, yesterday I read 798 pages. Today I've read 829, 8 books in 2 days. I did not think it was possible. This round of the Bookoplathon has been so fun. I loved the live format. It was just like so immersive, and I liked that I was also able to participate as opposed to just kind of chilling and thinking about what I needed to do next. I was actually participating and reading as well. I want to say a massive thank you to all of my hosts, like the 10 hosts that I had. I will link all of them in the description box. I know a lot of you guys are going to thank me for the great time that you had, but I could not have done it without my hosts. If a single one of these sprints overran or did not start on time, this whole thing would have collapsed entirely. So yeah, thank you so much to all of my hosts. I'm so appreciative. I will reach out and thank all of you as well. And aside from that, also thank you to the hosts that helped my hosts, so the ones that were invited to run sprints with my hosts that made everything a fun environment. Thank you for everything that you planned. Thank you guys for participating. Thank my co-hosts that came to my live sprints at the beginning and the end. And yeah, I think that is everything I have to say. This is the best readathon that I have participated in, as in, not as in like being arrogant, like I planned the best readathon ever, as in I have never done this well in a readathon before in my life. I am shocked at how well I've done. I'm a little bit tipsy, and I'm also sleep deprived because I slept for 7 hours over the entire 48. That is it. I have caught at least an hour of every single sprint, and the majority of them I have watched all the way through. So yeah, I have 2 minutes and 30 seconds till midnight. I'm in the middle of a live show, and this is going to be me signing out. So I do hope that you guys have enjoyed this vlog if you've made it this far. If you have, please don't forget to like if you liked it and subscribe if you wanna, and I will see you guys next week. I don't know. Let me know if you want another Bookoplathon, and I may do it if I have the energy. Bye.
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you'll go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.